I didn't even title this. Okay, so I would typically be doing a live right about now journaling session. However, tonight I decided to do something a little different, and that is and was to share my story. This is a personal story shared through real life text messages for educational and awareness purposes only. And it is titled, I put together a presentation and it is titled Co-Parenting Conflict, Financial Control, Manipulation, and Counter Parenting Behaviors. Okay. So I'm going to read like a little disclaimer before I even get started. The disclaimer states the examples presented in this presentation are drawn from my personal experiences and are shared to provide insight into challenges that have arisen and in some cases continue to arise within the co-parenting relationship between myself and my children's father. The intent of this presentation is not to harass, threaten, or encourage hostility towards any individual. Rather, it is intended to share my perspective, encourage discussion, raise awareness of certain co-parenting dynamics, and seek or offer support for those who may be in need of it, myself included. Please note that the events, communications, and interpretations presented reflect my personal experiences and understanding of those experiences. The other party involved may have different perspectives or interpretations of the same events. So, after reading that, I'm just gonna hop right into the story or the text, should I say? So, this is a particular text. The text states about the 2023 tax filing audit you spoke to me about earlier. Um, So it says, my children's father called me on the phone and told me that he needed me to sign a paper from the IRS allowing him to claim the children on his taxes this year. He said that he was not being permitted to file and claim them because an audit had been placed on him. I couldn't talk at the time. Plus, I prefer to document subjects like this through text, audio, message, or email. So I sent him a text/audio message. The audio message shown here, which I just read, but not heard through this presentation, is me explaining what I initially thought he was referring to, the 2022 tax season where he filed and claimed the children unlawfully and had to repay the money, which was then sent to me through the IRS. I still have the completed tax forms I used to claim them after they were sent, notifying me of my right to claim them that year. However, through later conversation, I found, hello, hi everyone. Um, However, through later conversation, I found out that he was speaking of something different. He wanted me to sign a form that would ultimately free him of the debt he created for himself by unlawfully and secretly filing and claiming the children on his taxes without my consent this past tax season. He presumably spent the money he received on himself because the children had nothing to show for it and he could not produce receipts for it. So now I'm going to go into what this is. What is this? What it looks like, basically. So, based on what I just described, it says I would characterize this as a combination of financial manipulation, financial exploitation of parental benefits, and potentially coercive control through financial pressure. More specifically, so as far as financial manipulation, He appears to be asking you to take an action that benefits him financially while minimizing or eliminating the consequences. Um, he appears to be asking you to take, I'm not ignoring anybody, but just trying to read this. But he appears to be asking you to take an action that benefits him financially while minimizing or eliminating the consequences of his own prior actions. And I'll answer questions after this is read, if anyone has any. The request was framed as a necessity. I need you to sign this form because of an audit, rather than as a request that would shift a financial burden or debt away from him. Misrepresentation or deception. If the facts are as you understand them, if he initially presented the form as being related to an audit or filing issue, but the true purpose was to relieve him of a tax debt resulting from improperly claiming the children, that could be viewed as an attempt to obtain your cooperation through incomplete or misleading information. Financial responsibility shifting. Rather than accepting the financial consequences of claiming the children improperly, he was allegedly seeking your assistance in transferring or eliminating the debt he incurred. In high conflict co parenting situations, this is often described as attempting to shift responsibility for the consequences of one's actions onto the other parent. Coercive financial pressure. Depending on the surrounding circumstances, if there was pressure, guilt, intimidation, repeated requests, or attempts to make you feel obligated to sign despite your concerns, that could fall under coercive financial control tactics. So, tactics, I'm sorry. Um, it goes on, it further states for your further presentation, it could be described in a neutral fact-based way. Basically, um, I later learned that the document was not related to granting him permission to claim the children for that tax year. Instead, it appeared to be intended to relieve him of a debt that resulted from his having claimed the children without my knowledge or consent. From my perspective, this was an attempt to shift the financial consequences of his actions. Hello, Andre Walker Carter. Welcome in. Yeah, so the financial consequences was him trying to mislead me or, through incomplete information, basically. So this happens a lot, more often than not. And it's never really talked about, like in co parenting or counter parenting relationships. This particular thing took place it was supposed to be handled through the court system, but it was not. It was not handled through the court system, not properly, not directly anyway. Um, but people get away with these types of things all the time, and this was just me making others aware that this thing, it happens, okay? And it happens quite often, but it's never talked about. It's just kind of swept under the rug, and people really don't know what it is. People don't even know what, people know of um, mental and emotional and spiritual um, abuse. People know of those things. People know of verbal. People know of physical abuse, but they very seldom question or tend to look at things. They don't look at things like financial abuse, but financial abuse, it exists, but they don't look at that. But this was a form of financial control and manipulation, and I just wanted to share it. Um, and I will be sharing videos, lives. I will be going live often with the ramifications of this here. So I am a spiritual advisor, life coach, and I am certified and well equipped to handle and talk about and discuss these particular subjects. So, if anybody, wants to talk to me about things like this, if they're involved in a situation like this, and, I can tell people how I handled the situation, but I can't tell them exactly how they should handle the situation. I'm not qualified to give anyone legal advice, but I can tell you my story, which I have done here. And I also can offer you advice, spiritual advice on where to go or what to do next. So hopefully, I don't know who this video was for, but I know again that people do encounter these situations and they are not handled properly through the court systems. So hopefully this message, this live has been helpful. And again, reach out, please. My information is on in the description. So if you would like to talk to me, if you need any kind of spiritual advice, guidance, spiritually related only, then I'm here for you. So take care and thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. And until the next time, again, take care.